Are you seeing hospitalization rates here as some of the key risk as we start to reopen this economy?
Yeah, what we're seeing now in Texas is a very steep acceleration of our COVID-19 epidemic, and we're seeing this exponential increase in the number of cases, now almost a vertical, straight-up number of increases every day. Now well over 1,000 cases a day in Houston, for instance. But that may be just the beginning, because there are some of the model projections indicate it could be 3 or 4 times that by July 4th weekend. So this would really be a very dire public health situation unless we begin to dial back some of the opening. Today, the governor announced he's going to put a pause on it, and that's a good first step, but I'm not confident that a pause by itself is going to be adequate.
Yeah, and Professor, I'm curious, though, about human nature here, too, because, I mean, if we've learned anything over the past couple of weeks with these reopenings, there are a lot of folks who really do just want to get out and be sociable again in public. And that brings us to the issue of vaccines and whether we're going to get to a point where we do have a vaccine that's going to make people a little bit more comfortable interacting out there in public, or are we just putting too much hope and stock in a vaccine as being sort of that proverbial silver bullet here?
Well, and you know, what's happened with the White House is they tend to veer toward, at least in the U.S., what they do is they tend to veer towards magic solutions. First it was hydroxychloroquine is going to solve all our problems, then it's remdesivir, and now it's vaccines. And the truth is, you know, if you look at some of the Operation Warp Speed vaccines in the U.S., we also have a vaccine that we're developing, although it's not part of Operation Warp Speed. We're developing a global health vaccine. But if you look at the first vaccines, they're likely to be partially protective, meaning that they're not going to do everything you'd hope for a vaccine would, but it will make a difference, and then better and new improved vaccines will follow. That's one possible scenario, and we've seen this with our other vaccine programs in the U.S. And what that means, practically speaking, is that vaccines will not be a replacement technology. They'll be a companion technology, at least in the beginning, to help us open up things more, but we're still going to have to likely maintain some level of masks and social distancing and all of the things that we're currently doing. So the way to look at it is a kind of a spectrum that with each passing month, we'll have new and improved technologies. First, we had the convalescent antibody. Now you've got a couple of new monoclonal antibody therapy treatments that are going into clinical trials from Regeneron and AbCellera, Lilly, and I'm pretty excited about those. Maybe some new small molecule drugs, and that the thing that will come last is probably the vaccine.
Doctor, you sort of look on social media with amazement at some of the memes being made of people who don't seem to see the efficacy of masks, people trying to call them out. The science seems to try to be pointing to this direction, but how much of it is a hindrance to stopping the spread of this virus if people don't seem to believe the facts that are put in front of them? How can the federal level, the state level get their hands around this?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, here in the U.S., we have and in the U.K. as well, there's a pretty aggressive anti-vaccine movement, and they tend to specifically target me because I'm not only a vaccine scientist and pediatrician, but I'm the parent of an adult daughter with autism, and I wrote a book called Vaccines Did Not Cause Rachel's Autism, which made me their #1 target. They've given me a new name now. I am the original gangster villain, the OG villain. So wow. You're talking to the OG villain today. And now what they've done is they've expanded their remit. Some of those same anti-vaccine groups, some of them coming from the fringe far right, are now also protesting against contact tracing, against social distancing, against all the few tools that we have. And this is also working against us, especially in some of the states down where we are around Texas, Oklahoma, the South American Southwest. Things get pretty bad at times.